Chop it up.
Republican Party is all but finished. They just don't know. Literally, this was their death knell. This was it. Who the hell is ever going to trust Republicans in power again? This is it. This was the final last gas. This was like, you're quelling the beast and it gives you that one last claw. And you're like, all right, that was it. That was today.
One last claw.
Seriously, you go hunt like a dangerous game and they like, and out the one last, you're like, ugh.
Got one more shot.
This was literally it. I mean, who was ever going to trust these people again? The country gave you power and you almost started it. You did foment an insurrection. It wasn't, literally, I was in the military, all right? If you take the capital city of any country, that's why you think we bombed Baghdad. We didn't bomb some other place.
Wow.
Why do you think we in World War II, we went after Frankfurt, Germany, and Munich, went after their hub. You have people storming the Capitol building in the United States of America. That is the seat of power in the government. This was literally an insurrection. It's going to be put down. You're not going to beat the federal government, but I can't believe this is happening.
Man.
In 2021. What? What the hell did
I heard one person got shot.
Yeah, one person did get shot. I mean, listen, it's always, I've seen a lot of loss of life, all right? So it's always a tragedy when somebody loses their life. But if your dumb ass go to the Capitol building and try to storm the Capitol, all right? I don't think you understand. Police officers, regular police officers shoot people. What do you think a federal police officer is going to do?
Right.
They ain't got to tell you police. They can just shoot your ass. These are federal police officers. I was a federal employee. It's not a good idea. Remember back in the day, last year, they said they were going to storm Area 51? I was like, that's not a good idea. You probably shouldn't do that.
Right.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that, all right? And you trying to storm the Capitol building? Yeah, that ain't going to work out too well. Listen, as my drill sergeant said, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That's damn sure what it looked like, man. That's what it looks like.
Hey.
I'm ready, man.
I'm ready too.
Perfect. This keyboard out the way because I won't be typing no more.
Yeah, no, I mean, your assistant, she's dope. She's like, hey, she keeps me abreast of the prize of what's going on. And she's like, can you wait? I was like, yeah, I might as well just wait. I'm already sitting here.
That's what's up, man.
I'm already sitting here.
Well, look, man, I appreciate it, man, once again, man, for you to come back and holler at me, man, because it's just, like I told you in the beginning, Isaiah, man, I think you got something special, man. And
thank you so much for saying that.
If it wasn't for that damn COVID, I think
mean,
we'd be calling
that
you.
really, listen, people don't understand how much that hampered us. Like, literally, when I ran for Congress last time in a grassroots campaign, we have to get out there and talk to people. That's the only way you win. Incumbents have name recognition, and they have a ton of money. My opponent spent like $1.5 million last cycle. So she could literally just send out mailer after mailer and blanket the airwaves. So, yeah, it really did hamper us. But, I mean, that's life. Put things in perspective. I didn't win, but I have my health. I mean, my family's safe. So it put things in perspective. But it also re-energized me to because the person who won last time isn't doing anything. Nothing has changed. So I'm sure we'll get into that in this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And but like I said, man, it's when your chemistry comes across, man, is I seen the videos, man. I seen your footwork. I see how you do. I see how you bring people out, man. So absolutely, man. And that's just the way to look at it, man. I mean, it's not just you. I see the same thing with Paula Swearingen in West Virginia, man.
I know all those folks, Paula, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, me and Jamal Bowman and Chop, we all know each other, like literally know each other, phone number, know each other. You know what I mean? And some of us won and some of us didn't. But that's the thing that I think that our party, the Democratic Party, has not understood yet, is that people are craving authenticity. You know what I mean? Nobody wants, look at the tweets that folks can go look at the tweets that I put out. I speak how it is. I just put out a tweet on white privilege saying that white privilege is a real thing. The entire world is seeing it. That you can storm the capital city, punch police officers in the face and destroy property and walk home, live to tell about it, take a selfie and post it on, that's white privilege. A black kid is shot within 12 seconds of holding a toy gun in the park Another black kid is shot, you know, walking down the street with his hands up. Another black person is shot for selling CDs. Another black person is choked for selling cigarettes. But white people can storm the capital city and live to tell the tale. That is white privilege in its essence. I don't need to just put a video of those clips up in the dictionary for white privilege, and everybody can see what the hell we're talking about.
And I think it's undeniable, but I think it's deeper than that, just white privilege. I think it's cops see themselves in those demonstrators, in those rioters, in those. What's the word? Because Isaiah's from the military, so I know you know. What's the word for it?
Insurgents.
Insurgents.
Listen, there's pictures of capital city cops holding up the little white privilege or white power sign. Literally, I just saw the pictures of them yelling, and one cop has this thing like this. We all know what that means. Those are insurgents. They are fomenting an insurrection. Those are the people. Listen, if America saw what America was doing to America, America would invade America to save America from America. That's how screwed up our damn country is right now, okay? They're literally insurgents. And what was their plan? Like, to do what? I mean, no matter what, Joe Biden's still going to get sworn in. You know what I mean? I don't like Joe Biden, but he's a lot better than Trump. What was their plan in all this? I mean, this is just the craziest thing I've ever seen, and I've been all over the world.
And you know what? I wouldn't agree with you, man. I would have jumped in and been like, I don't know if he's a lot better, but
he's not.
But Biden wouldn't do this shit.
No. People on the left don't do. Listen, the thing about it, they call us tree huggers. We sing songs and march and protest. These crazy ass, these are fascists. These are white supremacists. These are neo-Nazis. Imagine the symbolism of somebody carrying the rebel flag into Congress and fighting with a Capitol Hill police. The symbolism of that is just, that's how messed. But this is the thing. We swept that dirt under the rug a long time ago. The racism, all that stuff we swept under the rug, and we never truly dealt with it. And look, what happens when you don't excise a tumor from the body, it metastasizes. And it's metastasized into 70 million voters who stand with this damn 78-year-old snake oil orange salesman and believe what he's selling them. And now, like Malcolm X said, the chickens have come home to roost. Now, Republicans hitched their wagon to this horse named Donald Trump, and now they have to ride it out wherever it's going. It's heading right over a goddamn cliff, but you can't jump off because you had 4 years to jump off. You had actually 6 years because he started talking flim-flam under Obama. He started running a year before he got nominated. So you had 6 years to understand who this man was. When the rest of the world was like, yo, don't trust this dude. Go ahead and ride it out, boss. Keep that same energy. Go on.
The same energy.
Energy.
Keep it, you know, and the bad thing, man, is also Trump knows, man, he lost his damn election.
He knows.
He doesn't care that he lost. He just wants to save face and continue to build his brand. And keep it going. So his next endeavor, he got the squad with him. He got his squad.
It's gonna be Trump TV, all Trump all the time. You know what I mean? It's gonna be something stupid like that. He knows what he's doing. The thing about Trump is he may be a fascist, a racist, a homophobe, a xenophobic, jingoistic, all that stuff, but he's not stupid.
Right.
People's like, he's not as rich as we think he is. Either way, he's still a billionaire. I don't know how much he got, but he's got at least $1 billion. You don't get $1 billion. And 50 years later, have $1 billion if you're stupid. Look how many athletes get money, go broke. People win the lottery, get money, go broke. He's not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing, and we've underestimated him time and time and time again. But he always shows you shouldn't underestimate him.
Whenever people said that Trump was just stupid, they called him a buffoon. He don't know what he's doing. I always looked at that, man. I said, you know, they're giving him a break. Yeah. You know, they're excusing the evil, the real damage this guy's doing, like he a child running around and he don't know, he don't know not to put that in the dishwasher. He don't know what he's doing. Like he making a mistake. He put a screwdriver in an electrical outlet because, that's what he does. He's just a child. He don't know, not to pick the pan up without a pot holder. Nah, this is a grown ass man. So when they say he's silly or buffoonish, Van Jones just put out a clip about this.
You don't get to be president of the United States.
That's that shit. That's that bullshit right there.
People said the same thing about George W. Bush. Like, oh, he's a moron. He's an idiot. He was a 2-term president who ruined the world and the country. So you don't get to be president being that stupid. Right. Now, you may dismiss him, and that's something on the left that we tend to do, and we need to stop, is dismissing people who we think are stupid or less than us mentally. We're like, oh, I don't got to worry about those crazy-ass Republicans. Look at those Tea Party folks. They're idiots. Never going to work. we have to stop doing that and start Maya Angelou and people. When people show you who they are the first time, believe them. Trump showed you who he was. He ain't stupid. He's a racist. So we should treat him as such and not as a kid who's drawing outside the lines and will finally figure it out. And all these Republicans who enabled him, they deserve to be tried for treason. And I'm not joking about that. I'm 100% serious. I don't think people understand how fragile democracy truly is. Not many countries around the world have a true democracy. We don't even have one. We have the closest thing to one, and it's very fragile. All it takes, we've had civil wars in the past. We've had these things in the past. People may not think that the 60s and the 50s during the civil rights, that was a civil war. People may not acknowledge that. We had Black Americans literally fighting white Americans for freedom. That was a civil war that nobody wants to talk about. And blood was shed, bombings, people were shot, hung, literally were war tactics. So we fought multiple civil wars over this. And I've seen civil wars in the Middle East being stationed there. And we're this close to it, but we need to understand where we are in history. And if we do not learn from the history of our own history, we are doomed to repeat it. And it's starting to repeat right now. Because guess what? What we saw today at the Capitol was what? Maybe 10,000 people, maybe a couple thousand. There's 70 million of them out there. That's 70 million. That is a third of the country that is out there who believes in the stuff that this guy believes in. That's a lot of people.
I'm just hoping that some of those 70 million people don't really ride with it like that. Like, I always looked at it like there's Trump voters and there's Trump supporters. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a difference between
I gotta push back on that.
You don't think so?
I only push back on that because, listen, life is black and white. The sun rises, it sets. You alive, you dead. You good, you bad. You understand who this ain't new. This ain't Trump on the campaign trail. I'm trying to figure this guy out. This is 4 years of this guy. All the racism, all the homophobia, xenophobia, all that stuff. So you can say you're not racist, but if you support him, then racism is not that big a deal to you because you still support this man. Listen.
I gotta disagree, bro. Because
if you put money over children in cages, you're a horrible person. If Trump's good for your bottom line, but you're like, those kids in cages, I don't like it, but he's good for my bottom line. You're a piece of you're POS. You're a horrible person.
Now you can say this is different. But what I'm saying, James, is that these people, man, not all of them now. There are some racist motherfuckers out there, and I'll give you that all day, and that's why they like Trump. But these people, they're people that watch Fox, man. They watch Newsmax. They'll never see the side that makes us draw our own conclusions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. About how we feel about Trump. They've never saw it that way. They think he's a jokester. They think he's funny. They don't think he means any harm.
The only reason I would push back
they think he's a victim
is because
in people on the left.
In 2021, you have to work to be ignorant. This ain't 18, 16, you know what I mean, where you have to have an education. The entire history of human beings is right here. I can Google it. I can look it up. You have to work to be ignorant. And racism
There's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of work going on.
Bro.
Or you could just watch different news channels.
You can't be a little bit pregnant. You can't be a little bit racist. It's either you are or you are. Yeah. So if you choose to watch those news channels and believe that stuff when there's a multitude of other channels pushing back on it and like, wait, you know what? Maybe the Democrats didn't conspire to bring 80 million votes in the middle of the night. Every president who has lost has said something has gone wrong. Every single president who has lost in one term is like, something went wrong. But nobody has ever fomented an insurrection. I can't believe this is the craziest thing.
Now they're looking at this now. Do they really think that these guys out there are good guys? Now, some of the cops, back to those cops, some of them actually believe, they believe what these guys are doing? Maybe that's why they're letting these white guys storm the Capitol, because they're like, I wish I could do it too. Some of them probably was thinking about taking off their badge and then, you know what I'm saying, and going on this because they relate to them. They're not in a foreign land. You know, they're Americans.
BLM protesters had stormed, they not just went to the Capitol and sat in protest like people do all the time.
Right.
And actually stormed the Capitol, broke down the doors. They had to barricade the floor of the House. You realize they barricaded it and there were armed police in there pointing their weapons to the door. They literally were under siege. Congress had to run to the escape tunnels. Do you realize that if that were black people or Native Americans or Hispanic folks, if Hispanic folks had stormed the Capitol and said, let those kids out of cages, Muslims, they would have, the army would have been there. If it was Muslims, would have been like, yo, this travel ban is BS. Let's end it. They would have wiped them all out.
It could just been American citizens who happen to be, who are Muslim, not happen to be, but are Muslims. They would have been dead today.
They would have been dead. If it would have been trans folks talking about we want our rights, they would have been shot.
And then then Isaiah, they would have went to their homes.
Oh yeah.
And got their families out.
Listen.
Arrested their families too. It wouldn't stop just with the idiots in
the terrorists. And under the Patriot Act, if you're a terrorist and a family member of a terrorist who supports terrorism and all this crazy crap, so yeah, there would have been a completely different situation. And we've seen all the protests and riots to back up what we're saying. This is not assertions or hyperbole. We've seen BLM protesters get beat. We've seen Standing Rock protesters get beat. We've seen all these people get beat and tear gas and rubber bullet and dogged and water hose. So this is not stuff we're making up. This is the truth. We see what America does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just wondering. So we talked about, we started off, we're talking about this because it's hot right now. James, I know you're a veteran, man. I know that you're a democratic socialist. I know that you are from New York. I know that you are married. I know these things, but I only know surface stuff, man. What made you join the military? What drove you to do that? I know when I was growing up, I thought about doing it because I didn't have a lot of options, personally. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't have money for college. My parents, old school, man, they was like, the best a black man could do out here is learn a trade. My dad worked construction. He said,
my dad was a roofer.
There it is. And my dreams are writing, journalism. They were like, that's crazy talk. You need to learn how to live. These white people ain't going to let you write. What are you talking about? So that's why I consider it. But just so happened, man, I wasn't old enough. I was 17. I took the ASVAB. I was going there and do something with computers. They had a job picked out. My mom said, I can't sign the paperwork. I'm not going to sign the paperwork, son. So that's what stopped me. And by the time I was 18, I changed my mind. So what was it with you that had you go and actually do the thing?
I grew up so poor. I don't think people understand how poor I grew up. Like, I talked to my wife because, she grew up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. So she grew up poor too. But I tell my wife, she don't understand what it's like to not have lights in your house for like 5 or 6 months. To not have running water for months and months at a time. Literally, not have running water at all. To have to go and fill up water jugs to be able to flush the toilet and take a shower. And to do the schoolwork in the day. And then at night, that was it, candlelight, it was lights out. To have to steal food from the cafeteria because there was no food at home. And both my parents worked. Both of them. I grew up with both parents in the household. And it's not because they were lazy, it's because the system was already rigged against them. A lot of my friends I grew up with are literally sitting in jail right now. 27, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, life. I know plenty of dudes who are in jail for life. Same age as me. We grew up together. And I saw my surroundings and I was like, listen, mentally, I wasn't prepared to go to college. Because you grew up with all that trauma of literally finding crack under the bench at the park, seeing people shot, literally bullet holes, bullets flying through your apartment. So, I wasn't mentally ready to go to college. We couldn't afford it, number one. I wasn't in the right headspace. So I was like, I got to get out of here. I was like, how can I do it? I got no money. And then the recruiters were coming around school and were like, hey, if you join the military, we'll give you a paycheck. You can travel the world. You get free health care, free housing, free food, a cool new uniform, and respect and status in society. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'll join the military. It wasn't until I joined the military at 18 that I understand or realized that my father, who's an immigrant, still not a citizen to this day, he served in the military in this country. When he came over from Jamaica, my dad went to Vietnam. I did not know that. He never told us our entire life. I had no clue until one day I was rooting around in his closet for a suitcase to pack my stuff to leave to go to the military, and I found an old picture of a black dude in uniform. I was like, who the hell is this? Now, I'm Jamaican. So my parents are Rastafari, and they got dreads. I was like, who's this dude with the haircut? I've never seen my dad his entire life with short hair. I was like, who's this dude with the haircut? He's like, that's me. I was like, wait a minute, excuse me, hold on, pause. What do you mean that's you? He's like, I was in the Army when I first came here in the 70s. In 1969, I was like, wait, what? I did not know. My dad was an infantryman, trained at Fort Drum, New York, and they sent his ass to Vietnam. Out of the 25 Jamaican dudes he went with, because they all came over here on a work program to be day laborers. Out of the 25 dudes he went with, only 2 came back. And one of them was him. Yep. Him and his buddy Brian, who later committed suicide in his older age. But him and Brian were the only 2 that came back. And I knew Brian growing up, and none of them ever said they were in the military. So I joined out of desperation, man. For me, a lot of people you see in Congress who join the military, for them it's a way up. You know what I mean? Like the Pete Buttigieg's whose parents teach at Harvard, or not Tim Scott, but the other guy from Arkansas, the annoying one from Arkansas. They joined as a way up. I joined as a way out to get the hell out of my situation. That's the reason I joined. And smart brother. I tested ASVAB off the charts. They tried to get me to be a cryptologist and a linguist. All I knew was infantry. My dad was infantry. My mom's brother, my uncle Milton, was infantry. So I was like, hey, I'll pick infantry. And it was a very, very tough existence for 8 years, 2 months, and 29 days. I got 3 tours of combat, 39 months of combat. I've been blown up 8 times. I just got my new hearing aids from the VA. You know what I mean? I got hearing aids in both ears. I'm 34. My wife, we were just walking back from the store. My wife was like, yo, we can never rob a bank. I was like, what? Why? She's like, because your knees and ankles pop too much. They hear us coming. I was like, yo, she's throwing shots at me. Because when I walk, my knees and ankles click and pop. I mean, that's the result of my service, man. But it made me, I do thank the military for making me what I am up here. It showed me how corrupt the system is, and I was like, yeah, I got to fight this system. That's why I do, because I've been inside that Leviathan for almost 10 years, working for the federal government, and I see how corrupt it is. I'm like, yeah, this has to change. So you train me how to fight. You train me how to think critically. You train me how to lead people and to become a leader, the 8 steps of leadership. You gave me all this high-speed training. I'm not using it in combat, so I might as well use it here to help better my community and my country.
There's a veteran that I've been watching lately, man, that's been really inspiring me, man. And people have been like, you like this guy? I say, yeah, his name is David Goggins. Goggins. Have you heard of this guy?
David Goggins. Let me look at him.
Goggins. He's a brother that went through a lot to become a Navy SEAL.
The black dude. Yeah. He spoke at an event I was at a year and a half ago. I was at an event for IAV, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. He was a guest speaker. I spoke with him, actually. Yeah. Black dude, Navy SEAL, grew up super poor, like
right.
Or something like that. Yep. I know exactly who he is.
Yeah, and there's just one that I like, man, when I listen to brothers that are veterans, man, they talk about what they dealt with. He talked about all the discrimination he faced. Then he went into the service, and there's a lot of discrimination there. I mean, being a vet, being there, being overseas, fighting for your country, and how much discrimination did you see? Did you see that prevalent in the armed services, in the Army?
Okay, so when we're overseas, when we go to the bathroom, we either have porta potties or we have to burn what we go to the bathroom. I have never been overseas and been inside a porta potty, or I haven't seen some derogatory term with the word nigger, get out of here, go home. Not once. You can ask anybody who's been deployed and ask them, have they seen nigger, not A-R-E-R, like you niggas, get out of here. Have you not seen that in the military? It is everywhere. The Southern Pride flags are everywhere. A lot of our bases are named after Confederate generals. A lot of them. You know what I mean? So I've seen it every day. And then black people get in trouble. So I'm on the brain trust of this organization called the Black Veterans Project. The co-founder is a friend of mine, and there's it's all black veterans who sit on this commission to like preserve the legacy of black veterans and to truly tell their story in the country. Has been largely forgotten over time. And sitting on that brain trust, all these people from all these different walks of life, I'm talking about Ivy League schools, everything, all of them have dealt with the same thing. All of them. Less career advancement. The trouble you get in is higher because, you know what I mean, instead of getting a company grade Article 15, which is a slap on the wrist, and you do extra duty, which is after 1700, when everybody gets off, you work until 2000. You work till 8 o'clock at night. Instead of doing extra duty for 15 days and a slap on the wrist, you get a field grade Article 15, 45 days of extra duty, reduction in the rank, reduction in pay, all that stuff. I had all that stuff going in the military. I got knocked down to E1 and then worked my way all the way back up because I have a mouth on me, as you can tell. I had an incident in Iraq. I had just gotten blown up. A friend of mine just got wounded. I was covered in blood. Somebody said something to me that I didn't want to hear, and I told him where he could go with his opinion. Things went south. I went from being a squad leader all the way down to E1 nothing private as a driver, and then worked my way all the way back up, and then got the hell out. But yes, there's tons of racism in the military. There's tons of racism. Racism is as American as apple pie. Bro, our national anthem, people don't know what the second stanza to our national anthem is. Francis Scott Key, who wrote the anthem, owned slaves. And then in the anthem, he said that the heralding slave, the slave running away, will never find freedom and safety. It's in the freaking the national anthem. Not only that, slavery is still in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. You amended it 27 damn times. You never thought, hey, let's erase this slavery crap. Let's just take this out of there. No, it's still in there. So the only thing keeping you from being slave is the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. If those weren't there, me and you would be property.
Exactly.
Just words on the paper.
You know, my dad, so my actual father, he was a veteran. He went to Vietnam. Him and my mom, when he came back, my mom said he was a different person. You know, he was on drugs. He didn't tell her this, but he developed a drug habit, and he tried to fight it. He worked at Kodak camera here in D.C., which was very discriminatory at the time. He was like one of the only brothers there at Kodak. She was always telling me how great that was, but they ended up splitting, man. And he could never get over the mental anguish of serving, what he went through. I never really got to talk to him. I really get to know him, man. In fact, his family reached out to me on his death and said, hey, ain't you, hey, you Tim, you son, because they saw me on the internet. They said, you such and such a son. And I'm like, what? So I found out I met my dad at his funeral. My stepdad in D.C., he had a lower middle class family, and they sent him to college to avoid the draft. So that's who raised me, and that's who the construction worker was. So I don't know it. I have his flag. I have my father's flag in my window, on my windowsill. They gave him the full salute. They gave him that burial, and I wonder what he was and how what he went through and what really damaged him. The PTSD he probably had, and they had the documents that shows that from the VA. They gave me everything, man. I got his documents laid out, telling me exactly the traumas he had, the anguish he went through, the depression, the thoughts, the suicidal thoughts. I mean, I got it all, and it's like
I went through all that stuff. I mean, I tell my wife all the time, the man she married now, like she would not, 8 years ago, she would not marry the Isaiah who was still in the military. There's no way in hell. I was a completely different person. I'm talking about sleeping with a gun under my pillow, angry, ready to fight, ready to just rip anybody's face off and not care about at all. Drinking a fifth every night just to get to sleep, gambling, speeding in my car, just doing reckless, dumb stuff. I mean, that was a terrible, terrible person. And then it was almost a suicide attempt that made me, like, I can't do this anymore. I need to change or I'm going to die. There's a reason 22 veterans commit suicide every day in this country is because the services that are there, they're not working. They're not truly there. They're just services on paper, but they're not really doing anything for vets. And we need to actually change that. That's the reason I ran last time, and breaking news. That's the reason I'm running again this time. We're getting stuff set up right now to run again. Because my member of Congress is silent on these issues, freaking silent. And she sits on one of the highest committees, the Energy and Commerce Committee, which is responsible for bringing health care. And remember how the health care law was saved under the Commerce Clause? It regulates interstate commerce. The Supreme Court upheld it. And the Energy and Commerce Committee regulates that. Why hasn't a Medicare for All vote been brought to the floor? Why haven't so many of these things been brought to the floor?
Yeah, they want to talk about that. There you go. Now I know a lot of people want to hear your take on that, but when you came back, so you came back. Let's just go from your service to back home, man, and you're trying to get it back together. You said you had a realization, or you had a wake up call, or had that moment of clarity. I don't know.
Well, so the thing is, my service was, I went to Iraq for 15 months, came back for 11 months, went back for a year, came back for 3 months, went to Afghanistan for a year, came back for a year and a half, and then was out of the Army. That was it. So literally one morning I was a soldier. When I signed out of my room and signed everything over to them, the guy was like, all right, good luck. I drove out of the gates of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and that was it. I was on my, there was no, hey, all right, son James, see you later. There was no fanfare. There was no pomp and circumstance. It was just, I literally drove out of the gates and that was it. I was out of the Army. And I was like, well, what the hell do I do now? You know what I mean? And then one day I was home, sleep on the couch, and my dad was over. And I told him, and my wife knew when we first got together, I was like, don't touch me when I'm sleeping. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, if I fall asleep on the couch, call my name, call out to me from the kitchen or something, but please don't touch me while I'm sleeping. Not because I don't like it, but I don't want to do something to you if I wake up and not knowing where I'm at. So now I'm a lot better. But when we first got together, she would, babe, she would call to me before she touched me because it was that serious. My dad was over my apartment one time. Like I told you, I used to sleep with my gun under my pillow, loaded with my hand on my weapon, finger off the trigger, ready to go. My dad touched me one day and I drew down on him. And I was like, in a haze, I was like, oh, that's my dad. Like, I just almost shot my dad. And that's why I got rid of all my guns. I was like, I gotta get rid of them. I used to have all types of guns. I mean, as an infantryman, your weapon is never more than an arm's length away from you at all times. No matter where if you're going to take a crap, if you're going to the shower, if you're going to the chow hall, no matter where you go, you have a loaded magazine and your weapon is within arm's reach at all times. And I did that for almost 10 years. So to not have a weapon for me was a big, big problem at first. You know what I mean? But I realized like I got to get rid of all these. I gave them all away. Brother-in-law, take it, just take it. I took it, just sell them all, get rid of all of them because I didn't want to have them anymore. Because I don't want to be that person anymore. I got rid of all my military gear, all the stuff you see those Proud Boy dudes wearing.
Yeah.
Body armor. I used to have all that. Not because I'm some weird ass dude, but I was in the military. I had body armor. I had satellite communication, all kind of crazy ass stuff. Body armor vest, literally sniper rifles. I'm like, and I sat down one day. I was like, what the hell what am I doing with all this stuff? That part of my life is over. If I ever want to heal and move forward, I gotta completely erase it. And all my friends from the military, I completely erased them off social media. Because all those dudes who got out, they still live in that world. A lot of them are like still posting military stuff and talking about, war. And I'm like, bro, we came back from Afghanistan in 2011. That was 10 years ago. You got to let that go. You got to let it go. If you don't, it's going to eat you up. You're just going to be one of them old, bitter-ass dudes. So I had to just separate myself from all of it. I was like, you know what? Poof, be gone. And I stopped talking about it. Then I started running again. When I started running, people were like, they wanted to hear my story. Because for a long time, I never told people. If you look at me now, you never think I was in the military. If I show you my dress uniform, it's lit up like a damn Christmas tree. You know how many medals and ribbons of valor and bravery and, fighting the enemy and all that stuff I got? For a long time, I would never tell people because I was ashamed of some of the stuff that I had to do. They made me do over there. I mean, they don't put a gun to your head and say, do it, but they put you in that situation and you're like, I gotta shoot this person. I don't go home. I gotta kick in this door or I don't go home. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to go home in pieces. I'm not trying to go home in a body bag. I've seen too many ramp ceremonies where I carried a coffin to put it on the plane to fly back home. I'm like, I'm not trying to be that. So I have to do this to survive. And people don't understand what it's like at war. War is the worst of human behavior manifested on a level that most people have never seen. It's war. So, and I was ashamed of what I had to do. I'm like, man, I don't want to talk about this stuff. But then people want to understand why I think the way that I think. And then I had to break it down for them. Well, I was in the military. Not just in the military, I was an infantryman. Not just an infantryman, I was an infantryman that went to war. Not just one time, but 3 times. I mean, most people don't go to war 3 times. My first deployment, like I said, was 15 months. The second one was 12 months. The third one was 12 months. I had done all this before the age of 26. I've been to war 3 times before the age of 26. I got out of the Army at the age of 27. I had joined the Army at the age of 18. So by the age of 26, I was a seasoned combat veteran who was, a freaking killing machine. And that's not the person who I want to be. I tell my wife all the time, my worst fear in this world, I have 2. Something happening to my wife and me having to take a human life again. That is my worst fear. I never want to have to be put in that position. I pray every night, somebody, please don't come in my house. So I don't want to have to revert to be that person again. I know the type of person that I used to be. The type of person I used to be was a goddamn monster. I'll tell you that now. I'm sitting with glasses on and a suit jacket. I look all nice and friendly. That is not the person I used to be. I was a monster. And I really, really had to separate myself from
But
that.
you were a monster because that's what they made you to be. That's what you needed to be. That's what you were trained to be.
They break you down to build you back. They tell you, we're going to erase every bit of your civilian. You're never going to be a normal person again. They tell you this because think about it. You're not trained to run into bullets. You're not trained to hurt another human being. Like mentally, we're not as humans, we're not trained to drop a bomb or kick in the door and rip people out of their houses, put a bag over their head, put them on a Black Hawk helicopter, and they just disappear while their family is screaming. We're not trained. We're not supposed to do that. I've seen all this. I've been a part of all this. I've raided houses and stuff. They make you do these things. It's a brainwashing. And it's not till you step away from it that you have the choice to either say, I need to cleanse myself and repent for what I did. And my repentance is every day fighting to make poor people's lives better so nobody has to go do the BS that I had to do. I want to be the last generation to have to go do these things. Because in the 50s, they did it. In the 40s, they did it. In the 60s and the 70s, they did it. My uncle served in the 80s in Panama and Desert Storm in the 90s. And 2000s, we had Iraq and Afghanistan. Let's be the last generation to have to send our children, our poor children, to war. In my district that's 50% Black and brown, guess what? There are 8 recruiter stations in my little tiny ass district. 8. I can walk around the corner from my apartment and go to the Armed Forces recruiter station right now. I can drive down Flatbush and I hit 3 of them before I get to the bridge. They're all over. Why are they in poor neighborhoods? Because they're looking for Isaiah.
No options. The same story I told, same story you had. That's what it is. And I think that's part of what drives people. How can I say this? Some of the hate we see, Isaiah, I think out there, these white guys from the Midwest, man, they believe this shit. They believed the shit that they were told about America and what America stood for. And then they get this rude awakening that's all bullshit. It's all about money. You don't matter because you're poor. I tell people all the time, America doesn't love Black people.
No.
Right? But America doesn't love poor white people either.
Nope.
Okay, so let's make this. It hates Black people a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah.
And it hates Muslims and it hates Latinos, but Blacks they hate the most, right? But we're all in the hate spectrum. It's just we're just looking at different levels of hate on the grid, sort of like that alert they give in D.C. man when it's a terror alert. And there's a color grid to track how dangerous. We're at the top of the grid. That's all it is. But,
we got to think, Black people we're the ones that got away. We're the fish that got away. The Native American folks, they took their land. They got it. They barred the Irish and the Catholics from doing what they wanted to do. Why do you think these same lineage and dynasties are in office? They can trace their heritage back 200 years of being a congressman or public servant. You know what I mean? So the Mexican brothers and sisters, we got Texas. We got Arizona, New Mexico. White people stole it. Black people are the ones that got away. Black people are that experiment. They're like, damn it, how much labor did we lose? How much free money did we lose out on? Because these Black people got freedom now. And not only that, the ones that got away, we're making them atone for their sins. It's not nearly fast enough. It's not nearly enough, but the incremental things that we get. And they always know that. Why do you think they always tell us to go back to Africa? And why don't they say go back to the country they stole you from in Africa? You know why? Because they stole so many of us. They don't know where the hell they got us from. They don't know.
No return to sender, huh?
Go back. Just get out of here. Go back to Africa.
Go that way.
Go back to Africa because you stole. Listen, but they stole our humanity. They stole our language, our religion, our culture. They stole everything. They stole so much from us. They even stole our fear. And now I'm fearless. I don't give a damn anymore. I mean, I don't have anything to be afraid of. I've been shot at, been blown up, been almost killed. What do I have to lose by standing up and advocating for people who look like me? Nothing. I have nothing to lose for standing up and advocating for betterment of my community. If it's my life, you think I'm scared to lose that? I re-enlisted in the Army. After my 4 years was done, I re-enlisted again. So me dying is not the worst thing that can happen to me. Me sitting back and doing nothing is the worst thing that can happen to me. Me seeing all the things that are wrong and just sitting back like somebody else will get it. Imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. said, somebody else can do this. Imagine if Malcolm X said, somebody else would do it. Imagine if Marcus Garvey said, somebody else would do it. Or Frederick Douglass, or Sojourner Truth, or all the other Black leaders who have come along and have helped move the ball forward with us. Imagine if they said somebody else would do it. No. Let us be that somebody else.
So you decide at some point, you say, hey, I want to go into politics.
No, no.
Where'd
I
that part come
decide,
from, man? Because I
okay,
didn't trust politicians. Isaiah, I didn't trust politicians. Excuse me, brother.
well, there's a difference between a politician and a public servant. You know what I mean? Politicians play politics. Public servants serve the public. It's just that simple. Politics is backroom deals. You know what I mean? You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Public service is public service. It's serving the public. I never wanted to be a politician, but I've always been a public servant. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, what made me start was when I got out of the military, you know, those government contractors, they offer you lucrative deals. Like, hey, you want to be a government contractor? So I had an offer from a company called Triple Canopy. And they were offering me $185,000 a year to go back over to Afghanistan or Iraq and be security over there. And I had a inflection point. I was like, man, that's a ton of money. Because the most money I had ever made while deployed was $32,000. That's it, a year, 32 grand. And they offered me 180. The first 90 was tax free, and I had to stop myself. I was like, either I go back over there and get into this world again, and never leave it, or I'm going to get my education. So at 26 years old, I was like, you know what? When I got out of the military, I was like, I'm going to college. I'm going to get an education. And I signed up for one class, and it was like leadership strategies. And they were teaching kids how to manage their time, how to manage their money. I'm like, wait, is this what college is? I'm like, I'm a grown-ass man. I don't need to. I got an apartment. I got an IRA. I'm like, wait, I had a career. I was like, is this what college is about? I was like, I don't need this college. My professor was like, no, just this is intro. Just sign up for some more. So I did, and I was like, okay. I signed up. I was like, you know what? I like politics. I like arguing these things. I was like, let me be a political science major. So I majored in political science. Then after that, I was like, you know what? Let me get my graduate degree and let me go for public policy. So I went for public policy. I still want to get my PhD. I'm still going to get my PhD in either Middle Eastern studies or African American literature. I'm going to get my PhD. But while I was doing that stuff, you know, I became an organizer and an activist, working with veterans, working with housing groups and poor people. And doing so, you meet local elected officials, members of Congress, and all these things. So I actually met the member of Congress who I challenged, and I'm smarter than I look. You know what I mean? People they don't realize how damn smart I am. I graduated on the dean's list, you know, taking 24 credits a semester with a 3.8. I'm pretty damn smart. I know I'm smart, but I like to play dumb just to see how people will treat me. So meeting with these local elected officials, namely Yvette Clarke, and some of the stuff she was saying, I was like, what is going on here? I was like, people are dying. There's drugs in our community. Police are every damn where. Rent's going through the roof. And you worried about Amazon, getting Amazon some money? I was like, So I told my wife about it that night, and she's like, well, why don't you do something about it? I was like, well, hey, don't talk about it, be about it. And I looked up how to run for Congress. I literally Googled that. I didn't know how to do it. I watched YouTube videos of how to set stuff up for about a week, and I was like, all right, I got the gist of it, and I filed to run. And we were doing good. We were making headway. We were getting national attention. It was in Teen Vogue and all these other, you know, Intercept and USA Today. And coronavirus hit. Everything shut down. Everything. The fundraising shut down, and I understand why people didn't have money to donate. Even $20, you know, a year ago when people were out of work was a lot of money to donate to a campaign. So our money dried up and everything. And the incumbent, she won. In 2018, she got 15,000 votes. In 2020, she got 56,000 votes, which is unheard of. 56,000 votes for one candidate in a New York City primary? Wow. That never happened. You know what I mean? And that happened all over the city. It's because the incumbents had incumbency and they had more money. So she won. By all means, hey, you know, I ain't like Trump. You won. You got it, boss. Take it. You got it. You'll see me next time. So I made it when the election was over on June 23rd. I made a video, and quite, you know, poignantly, I said, listen, if you do your job and start helping the community, you'll never hear from me again, but nothing but thanks and praise. If you don't do your job and don't help the community, you will hear from me again.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll be back.
As I said, I'll be back, huh?
And we garnered over 10,000 votes with no money, couldn't hit the street, and still got over 10,000 votes. In a primary in New York City, we beat a guy who was a city councilman with $500,000. We trounced him. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, that's nuts. People really are receptive to this message. Now, if we can do it again this time and get fundraising in order and get our message in order and start pumping it out and talking to people early, hopefully this vaccine helps some people out where we can hit the streets and talk to people. I am 100% confident that people are ready for change. Look at the current system that we have, what is manifested in Washington. We got racists on the right who don't do nothing. We have racists on the left who are quiet racists who don't do nothing and let the right get away with the BS. And now you see what the chickens have come home to roost. Imagine if we had a party. Imagine how much, and I'm gonna show you how it's all interlinked, interconnected. Democrats and Republicans just voted for that massive defense bill, right?
Right.
Massive defense, $750 billion. When it's all said and done, it's about $800 billion. Imagine if we had Democrats who held the line and said, we're not going to vote for that bill, Mitch McConnell, unless you tell President Trump to A, shut the hell up with his racism and pump these checks up to $2,000 for every American. If they would have held that defense bill hostage, the military would not get any money. You don't think Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans would have been in Trump's office? But like, hey, you got to stop this stuff right now. We can't get anything passed. You don't think that would have happened overnight? But we don't have Democrats that hold the line. We have Democrats who literally are trying to fight. They're fighting fire with cotton. They're just throwing more tinder on it, just throwing more. Nancy Pelosi says, you can't build the wall. Then why the hell are you giving this man money to build the wall? You don't get mad at the kid when he wrecks the car if you hand him the keys. Trump is a child. You handed him the keys. He is wrecking this car called democracy. You're the one who's giving it to him. Instead, put a boot on the damn car. We're not moving this car until this person grows up and learns how to be an adult. But Democrats don't do that. And my member of Congress does not do that. She's lock, stock, and barrel right with the corporate Democrats. And we got to change the system. Listen, like I tell people all the time, they talk about democratic socialism. I'm like, the system we have now has failed. We've tried the last thing for 100 years. How about we just try my way? Democrats, for 2 years. Right. If you don't like it, we can go back to the racism and handing corporations money hand over fist. But let's just try giving people health care. Let's just try erasing student debt. Let's try defunding the police. Let's try closing private prisons. Let's try auditing the Pentagon and bringing home our troops from these bases all over. Let's try doing these things. If they don't work, by all means, let's go back to the way it was.
So you, sounds to me like you support force to vote. That you think they should say, hey, if you don't give us something for the vote, do you think we should have done that with Nancy Pelosi when she was? No,
that's stupid. Nancy Pelosi's, no. Forced to vote on Nancy Pelosi? Listen, first of all, that's a coordinated strategy that takes years. That should have started in year one of Trump's presidency to change the Speaker of the House. You can't force the vote on the Speaker of the House in the last 2 months and think that's going to work. That's the third most powerful person in the world. She's third in line to the presidency. She's even more powerful than Mike Pence because guess what? She's the Speaker. All bills originate in the House, every bill. If she doesn't want a bill to come to the floor, the bill's not coming to the floor. So she's a very powerful person. Taking her out, that's not going to change anything. Another cog will just slip in and perpetuate the same stuff in the same system. We need to change the entire system. You know what I mean? Replacing one bad apple with a bad orange is still a badass piece of fruit. I don't want that. How about we take the whole tree out of the ground, plant a new tree, water it with righteousness and justice and truth and equality and caring and looking after our fellow brothers and sisters and grow that tree and let's eat of that fruit. No, I don't want to replace a bad apple with a bad orange. So that was dumb. But on healthcare, yes, we should force the vote. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of these corporate Democrats are all saying, I'm for universal healthcare because they know it'll never come up for a vote. But when you have to put your name to, Republicans are doing it right now with the election. They're forcing their members of their Republican brothers and sisters to say, hey, do you support these electors or not? Or not. And what is that going to do? That's going to create primaries for all those people who are in Trump-loving country who say, yeah, I support the votes for Joe Biden. They're going to get primaries. The same damn thing would happen on the Democratic side. All you people who say you're for healthcare, for single-payer healthcare, for giving these people for healthcare, you can't take that insurance money no more because you just voted for it. You can't take that pharmaceutical money no more because you voted for it. Right. And then, if the Senate holds, listen, the House said they're for it. There's a bill in the House and the Senate for it. We got a Democratic presidency. Why the hell ain't this come to the floor for a vote? Why can't we pass this? Imagine how many young brothers and sisters would not be sitting in jail right now if Obama on day one had told Nancy Pelosi, give me a bill legalizing marijuana. I got the House, I got the Senate, I got the White House. Give me a bill legalizing marijuana right now. How many people would not be in jail or have a record right now, 11 years later to this damn day? How many lives would have been changed if we had done what was right that time? Imagine that. So if you think it doesn't matter by having a House and the Senate, it really truly does. So imagine how many lives we can save 10 years from now. We don't have to be having these conversations about, how many people are dying because they don't have health insurance if we do what's right now.
Well, it looks like we just got the House, or it looks like the Democrats got the House, because I register each year. Each time I vote, I have to re-register again because I go independent, and then I usually end up voting for the Democrat, or unless I vote for a Green Party, but usually it's a Democrat. And then I re-register, then I unregister. I play the game, But
I voted for Bernie Sanders for president. We did it right. Listen, you can vote for Joe Biden. That's on you. By all means, God bless you. I'm not voting for a man that gave me the crime bill. I'm not voting for a man to, call me predators and all that stuff, and thugs and all that stuff. So I already know what you think. Listen, don't tell me what you believe. Show me what you do. I'll tell you what you believe.
Yeah, I voted Howie Hawkins. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, you can go down to church in South Carolina and clap with all of them. Do all that. Bro, you were the one that gave us the crime bill.
Yep.
So you can miss me with all that stuff right there.
The architect of the most devastating criminal justice system in the world is Joe Biden. That's who he is.
I mean, the crime bill was like Reagan's war on drugs on steroids.
There it is.
It was on steroids. So no, I with a clear conscience, I'm like Bernard Sanders, and I sent my ballot. Simple as that. People don't understand. Listen, you don't get my vote. You have to earn my vote. If you didn't earn my vote, then I'm not giving it to you. I don't care who you are. If Trump would have won again, okay, I'm not giving you my vote unless you earn it. And that's what people don't understand. We have to earn these people's votes. A lot of these Democrats are reelected because they just get these votes. They don't earn these votes. Imagine getting to go out there and actually talk to people. Most people are notoriously bad for voting in primaries. And primaries are one of the best tools we have for making legislation and getting legislators in office who actually help the people. Bro, there's 770,000 people in my congressional district. Before the pandemic, we had crazy numbers. In the last election cycle in 2018, 30,000 people voted. Between the two candidates, 30,000 people. And that decided who represents you for the next 2 years. Wow. 750,000 people. 30,000 people voted. Because people are notoriously bad for voting in primaries. And rightfully so, people like us have the luxury of actually caring. If I'm a poor working mother, single mother trying to raise 2 kids in Brooklyn, I don't have the luxury to give a damn who my congressman is. I don't have the luxury to care about, the House floor, which votes need, which votes, the discretionary budgets. I don't have the luxury. I have the luxury of trying to figure out how I'm going to make ends meet. I'm going to put food on this table.
Right.
So I understand why they don't do it, but it's our job as communicators and commentators and people running for office to educate them why this is so important. Because guess what? That shirt you got on has a tag. It was imported from somewhere. There was a tax on it. That was a political decision. That microphone you have is manufactured. It was imported either from somewhere or made here. There's a tax on it. There's a political decision. The water you drink is monitored by the FDA. The food you eat, the speed limit you drive, everything in your life, even the religion you practice or don't practice, was a political decision because it's the First Amendment that says you can practice it or be free from it. Politics is involved in every aspect of your life. And if something is going to be involved in every single aspect of your life, you damn well better have a say in it. And that's why people like us need to get out there and help people to understand the gravity of the situation. People need to vote like their lives depend on it, because they truly do.
That's a damn good way to put it, man, because you hear it all the time, man. I don't do politics. I ain't into politics. Are you in it whether you like it or not?
I defy people, the viewers out there. Name one aspect of your life that does not involve politics. One. Yeah. People might say sex. Where do you think condoms come from? You don't think they're manufactured and regulated by someone? You don't think birth control is manufactured and regulated? You don't think the mattress the religion, the speed limit, the money in your pocket, everything. The water I'm drinking out of this thing right here is from a filter. The New York State government, you know what I mean, filters this water. You know what I mean? Everything. The glasses I wear is politics. So guess what, man? I'm not letting somebody or something I say in my life and me just sit on the back burner and let y'all do what y'all want to do. I had that for 18 years. It was called parents. I'm a grown-ass man now. You know what I mean? Now I can make my own decision. Right. I had that for 18 years. Somebody tell me what I can and cannot do. all that. I mean, I had it for 10 more years. It's called the military. No, we need to have a say in what the hell goes on in our society. Because guess what? We're sitting where we're sitting right now having this conversation because somebody sacrificed for us who didn't even know us. Some black person sat at the counter and got beat. They rode a bus. They got water hoses turned on them and dogs sicked on them because they knew there were going to be future generations of people to carry their legacy and to fight forward. Now imagine us being so lazy we can't do that for the next generation. No, we have to take it. I got younger nieces and nephews who are 2 and 3 and 4 years old. I don't want to see them have to go through the same BS we're going through. You know what I mean? So that's why we need to stand up and fight. Not like the way them crazy ass folks and
not that shit. Yeah, real.
Not that crazy ass stuff.
Effective fighting that actually can materialize and a win for us and for the people. So real quick, universal health care, a couple things that Isaiah James believes in, a couple policies.
Single payer health care.
Yeah, single payer health care. It's got your universal health care. Single payer. Ending mass incarceration.
Yes.
Transitioning to a 100% green economy.
Yes.
By 2030.
Yes.
Housing veterans issues.
Yes.
Education, the environment, the economy, health workers' rights.
Yes. Listen, education's huge. My wife's a teacher. She was behind me. All these things. And listen, I just put out a tweet. They got the nerve for us saying, you know, we live on a planet. We want to give people health care. We want to make sure people have housing. They call us radicals. And y'all storming the damn cat. Y'all call us radicals. How dare you? These things aren't radical. These things are everyday things that other countries have already done. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We've talked about single-payer healthcare in this country for 100 years. That's not hyperbole. You can go back and look it up of presidents 100 years ago talking about single-payer healthcare. Mm-hmm. So this is nothing. Lyndon Johnson talked about healthcare. The Southern Democrat from Texas talked about freaking universal healthcare, single-payer healthcare in this country. These things aren't radical. Don't let people tell you they're radical. Don't let the moniker of radicalism deter you from fighting for what you know to be right. Because if you don't think your child should die because they have cancer and you can't afford those drugs, then guess what? You believe in single-payer healthcare. If you don't believe that you getting caught with a joint at 18 should affect your voting privileges at 65, then guess what? You believe in ending mass incarceration and reenfranchising felons. If you believe that we should spend more money over here instead of bombing poor people in other countries, then you believe in auditing the Pentagon and taking on the military-industrial complex. You believe in all those things. You just need somebody to wake you up and light that spark in you so you can speak on it.
And also to do what you do, which is put it in a package that's palatable, that people understand it, where you break it down and say, okay, how does this policy impact the person's life so they can relate to the policy?
Yeah. A lot of people talking at Washingtonian speak and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I guess I'm a smart dude. I'm an educated dude, but listen, before I put this on, I had on a hoodie, bro. I'm just an everyday dude. You know what I mean? Coming back from the store. But I know how to straddle both lines. If you want to talk about the numbers and stuff on it, by all means, I'm educated in it. If you want to talk about how it relates to you in everyday life, by all means, I've lived it. So I can tell you how it relates to you in everyday life. And we need more people like that in office.
Absolutely, we do. Absolutely, man. So look, the Georgia elections, I don't know if they did with Ossoff, man. I was up, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I was up till 8 in the morning this morning, man, working on stuff. Then I had got up, I had to upload some videos. I saw what was going on. I went back to sleep. I don't know if Ossoff is one or not, but I know that Warnock won.
Warnock won. I don't know. I think he did. I saw conflicting things too. I'm like, he was ahead by 20-something thousand, 23,000, whatever. I mean, Biden only won the state by 17,000, so. I mean, that would be, those numbers would be right. Now, if Warnock won by like 80,000, then the Republicans might be like, wait, what the hell? But if he's up by, those little margins, then yeah, I mean, that's how he won the state. So I don't know if he did or if he didn't, but I'm telling you right now, this is not only Republicans' worst fear, this is Democrats' worst fear too, because now you got to make do on all those promises that you talked about. You know what I mean? Now you can't blame the Republicans. You can't blame Mitch McConnell. You can't blame, all the Republicans in the House. You have to do this stuff now. They'll take it to the Supreme Court. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, you just passed the bill legalizing marijuana. If we have the Senate, was it January? By March 1st, marijuana should be legalized in the entire country.
That's it.
By March 1st. That's it. Go through the House, go through the Senate, get the appropriations committees involved. talk about the money you're going to use from the sale and all that stuff and how it's going to help the black community and those disenfranchised. But by March 1st, if we get the Senate, by March 1st, marijuana should be legal all over the country. I don't want to hear nothing about it because we already passed the bill in the House. And see, Republicans thought that's a symbolic vote. That's just a symbolic vote. You know what I mean? We're going to win the Senate. Oh, we lost the Senate. Now Nancy Pelosi's like, damn. We got to actually do this stuff. Yeah, we got to actually do it now. Now it's time to fight. Now you ain't got no choice because you already told me, y'all already told me that marijuana should be legal. Now those two senators coming in, I know if we get the Senate, I know Brother Warnoff and the other one, and they gonna vote yes. And we have a Democratic president. Now Joe Biden, hey, that's the will of the people. That's 535 people in the House telling you, in House and Senate telling you, hey, we represent our constituents. Not only that, it's legal in like 17 damn states. Colorado did not sink beneath the waves. It didn't, fall in fire and brimstone when they made weed legal. They're like, we got tons of money over here helping schools and all kind of businesses. So now it's time to fight, and they have no excuses anymore.
Yeah, he talked about he made a mistake when he, wrote the crime bill. So now let's undo your mistake by, legalizing cannabis.
Yeah.
Let's actually be proactive in making amends for it. And one way you do that is you get people back their voting rights. Hey, we want tangible. Don't just tell me you sorry when you run over when you run over me, pay for my medical bills. You know what I'm saying? So, make me whole, as close to whole as you can. And that would be clearing the books on all those brothers he locked up.
You can never make them whole because you destroyed families. You destroyed generations and legacies. You know what I mean? How many brothers went to jail with a young son or daughter at home that didn't make it out of jail? That's it. They'll never know their father. They'll never know all his hopes and dreams and stories and ups and downs. It's over. He ceases to exist for history. He's gone. So you can never make these families whole, but you can damn sure start to pay a penance for it right now. And that don't just mean letting people out of jail. It means fully expunging their records. That means literally dollars and cents from the sale of marijuana that is taxed, just like alcohol, goes to help these people in these communities that have been disproportionately disaffected by the freaking war on drugs and the crime bill. That's what that means, something tangible that we can see. That means job programs and after school programs and housing and education programs right here in places like Central Brooklyn and in Bed-Stuy and Brownsville and the Bronx and all over the country. That's what that means. It's not just saying, oh, my bad, bro. I'm mulligan on that one. No, it's you actually putting some skin in the game and doing the work that needs to be done to make amends as close as possible for the BS that you have put people through.
That's what we want. That's what we demand. That's not what we want. That's what we demand of him.
I mean, I'm not holding my breath because the vice president is a police officer and the damn president gave us the crime bill. So I'm not holding my breath, but guess what?
Yeah. I'm
running.
I've been very critical of Biden and Harris. Oh, Harris recently made a lot of news because I think it was back in October, she did a magazine spread with Elle magazine, and she looks like she plagiarized MLK, an MLK anecdote about freedom. I don't know if you heard about this, man, but
I did. But I mean, listen, I wish her all the success. We cannot take away from the fact that she's a black woman who is now the vice president of the United States of America, which is a monumental and tremendous thing. Tremendous, tremendous thing. But, like I said before, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, okay? I mean, there are a lot of women who are qualified, especially a lot of black women who are qualified to be president of the United States.
That's right.
I don't want to, listen, we've been denied so much for so long that when we get anything, we're happy for it. We're proud of it. We got Obama. It was life-changing. Obama made the rich richer and locked up more people. He deported more immigrant brothers and sisters than any president in the history of the United States.
That's right.
And that was Black Barack Obama. So we have been given so little that we take chitlins and turn them into a meal. We take chicken feet and turn it into a meal because we've been given scraps. So that's what we do with it. But it's time for us to say, you know what? What's the Langston Hughes poem? I too am America. Let your folks look that up and read that poem. And I say that, I know that poem by heart. I say it all the time. You know what I mean? And we need to start demanding more of this country, the country that we didn't help build, the country that we literally built. America was built on the backs of black people, not just in the South, because the people in the North traded with people in the South. So they were reaping the benefits. What do you think the cotton? The cotton came from the South, went up here to New York, and sailed across the sea. So did the sugar, so did the tobacco. So they benefited from slave labor. The entire economy of America is based off slave labor. So it's time for us to stand up and demand more for the country that we helped build. It's time for us to demand more as Black people, as poor people, as working people, as trans people, as minorities, as everybody who's not a rich old white man, to stand up and demand that this damn country serve us. Because guess what? This country was never built for people like us, but I'll be damned if we don't make it work for people like us.
That's what we better do. That's the goal, right? That's what we fight for. And I tell people all the time, man, I'm in it for the long run. They want things done yesterday. I understand the frustration, but you gotta just be focused and know that this is a marathon. It's Nipsey Hussle would say, this is a marathon, man. So I don't like it that way, but I'm doing this for my kids, bro. That's who I do it for.
Would say, nobody was born on the top of Mount Everest. You got to get there one step at a time. Nobody was born up there. There's some people born close to the top or this top, but if poor people, we not born nowhere near the top.
Right.
So if we want to get there, Martin Luther King, I may not get to the mountaintop with you, but we will get there. And we're still steady going for that mountaintop right now. And it's time for us to, strengthen our spines and stiffen our resolve and say, yo, man, we can demand so much more from this country. I mean, y'all just a slap in the face, $600. You give me $600. What the hell am I supposed to do for me? $600 ain't gonna do anything, nothing. But you can literally give corporations billions of tax breaks. Imagine if they close all corporate loopholes right now. That's an extra $500 billion that the government loses every single year. Imagine they close that right now. Actually, excuse me, I lied. It's $2 trillion that the government does not get in income because all these corporate tax evaders. We could have passed an $11 trillion stimulus and everybody could have got $2,000 checks until this pandemic was over. But they don't.
What they would have done, they would have spent it. They would have, poor people. That's what they do with money.
Oh yeah, but listen, they say, listen, rich people do not help the economy. Rich people hoard money. That's why they're rich. When poor people get $2,000, what do you think they're doing? Do you think they're buying an offshore island, or you think they're investing in stock? No. If you can invest in stock, you're not poor.
Right.
Poor people take that money. They go to the grocery store. They go buy their kids stuff they need for school. They go spend that money at a restaurant in the community, buy food, dinner that night. And the money circulates in the community and helps people. That's what poor people do. Listen, Bill Gates cannot buy enough stuff to help the economy. Jeff Bezos cannot buy enough stuff to help the economy. Elon Musk cannot buy enough damn, tacos from Taco Bell to help the worker so that Taco Bell is profitable and they hire more people. They can't buy enough. It's the everyday person who helps the economy. And the everyday person right now needs help. But it seems like the government doesn't want to do that. I don't understand it. Nancy Pelosi had the tactics to use, and she left them on the floor. So I don't understand. So I look at Republicans. If I'm going to chastise them for being bad, we have to look at our side and get our house in order too, and chastise them for being bad. Like, listen, we need people who are actually going to separate, money from politics, corporations from actual people, and stand on the side of people. It's not that hard. It's not a novel concept. I'm asking you just to stand up for working hard, everyday, hardworking, poor people. Just do that. It's not that hard. It's not difficult.
Isaiah, where should people go to find out more about your upcoming election and your candidacy?
Well, we haven't officially filed yet because the paperwork takes its way to work its way to FEC and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that'll be done within the next month, just January. By February 1st, will officially be filed. But my website is still up. IsaiahForCongress.com, ISIAH for Congress.com. It's still up. It's going to get updated with a few more policies, and the look is going to get changed. But if you want to figure out what I'm about or who I am, if this hour-long conversation didn't let you know, that you can go read my website. You can follow me on.
Well, look, I'm glad you came on here early. That way I could bring you back when you announce again, and we could just keep rocking, man.
Of course. So you can go to social media, Isaiah for Congress on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. I post all the time. I got a big mouth. I got something to say, so I say it.
When we put the video out, man, I put all the bells and whistles, man. I have a picture of your website. I have your Twitter handle. I have all that hooked up for you, bro. You know how we do, fam.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I mean, like I said, last time we didn't get the link up till it was late in the election cycle of the pandemic. But since then, we've been, talking back and forth, constant communication. I don't think people know that they actually talk. I'm like, hey, brother, how's it going? And they're like, hey.
Right.
They might just think that, oh, the booking agent. No, I actually, if I have a question for Tim, I'll just DM him on Twitter like, hey, bro, have you seen this? He'd be like, yeah, I seen it all right. Yeah, crazy ass folks in DC. Yeah, they out there. So yeah, we actually talk. We're actually regular people. Just regular everyday people.
In fact, I need to slide you my math, man, so you can text me, man, because I'm trying to get off Twitter. I don't like being on there too much, man. It's crazy.
I mean, it's toxic, but Twitter is where news happens, man. You mean your grandmother goes to Facebook. I go to Twitter. Nobody's reading news on Facebook like, oh, look what's happening on Facebook. And Instagram, I'm only 34, but Instagram's for the young kids. And I don't even know what the hell TikTok is, bro. I'm sorry. I can't get into. I don't know what the hell it is. I know it's just kids like dancing, and I don't get it, so I don't go on it. So I'm on Twitter reading the news, and I'm on Instagram looking at pictures of food, and I might post on Facebook every once in a while.
That's what's up, man. Look, man, tell your wife thank you for letting us use her classroom. We appreciate
she's walking behind me right now. She's behind you right now. She don't want to be on camera, but she's back there. That's her. You well, yeah. I show folks like this is all her school supplies and all that stuff. Yeah, it's all over the wall. I look like it literally first grade, like the days of the week and all that stuff.
That's what's up, guys. All right, now, y'all, check it out. All the links in the description below. Find out more about Isaiah James, a brother running in the 9th District, New York. He's a humanitarian, man. He's a real one, so check him out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Man, thank you for making time, brother. I appreciate it. Man. Later, bro.
Later.
Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Don't be fooled by corporate media talking heads misleading the people. Get your news and information from an entity that keeps it real. Tim Black. Tim Black is the host of The Tim Black Show. Independent news that leaves you informed, inspired, and sometimes entertained, but always in the know. Go to timblacktv.com and sign up today. The Tim Black Show is news for people who can't stand the news. See you there.